Hello, everyone. My name is LaRon Henderson. I am here with Collective for Youth to talk with you today, just for a few minutes, about a concept that we call active learning. Going to talk with that, or talk with that. Going to make sure that in your program, you have a clear understanding of what active learning is all about. All right. We'll have some fun with it today. But first, I want to tell you a couple things about Collective for Youth. All right. Who are we? What do we believe? Very, very simple. We are our vision. Our vision is to develop a community of thriving out of school time partners who are empowered to ignite, blow up the imagination and grow the minds of youth. Our mission is pretty simple. We are a connector for advocacy, resources, and training for out of school time partners or providers in Omaha, Nebraska. Now, I say this. We have many partners in Omaha, Nebraska, but we are connected nationally to many organizations. And so, but our main focus is right here in Omaha. Our priorities, what do? We provide partnership support, quality improvement, professional development, collective fundraising and grant management, and data collection, including measurements of youth outcome. We want to make sure that we look at the data that we're getting from each of the programs, that we help people plan with professional development and quality improvement, and then we improve by taking what we know, taking what we've done, and then measuring it all over again. So it's the continuous improvement cycle. Pretty simple stuff. Do you remember? Let's get into this. Do you remember what it was like when you were trying to learn how to ride a bike? What did that take? Did someone put you on a hill and put you on the bike, put you on a hill and say, okay, if you do not steer this right, you don't keep your balance, you're going to fall off and you're going to crash and you're going to get skinned up. They put a Band-Aid on it and then they did it all over again. One, did they put you in the grass? Did they put you in the grass so that when you fell, it wasn't as rough? Or did they guide you? Did they put their hand on the seat and guide you until you caught your balance and then you just kind of took off? Do you remember? I know I can remember. I love riding my bike till this day, going down hills fast. But do you remember? Think about that. I'm going to use that a little bit later as we get into this. We look at the process, but I'm going to refer back to riding this bike that maybe had a tricycle, maybe had a big wheel, and maybe some of you had that green machine like I did, kind of a knockoff from a big wheel, but they were all fun. All right, our learning objectives today, pretty simple. Participants will have the opportunity to experience active learning firsthand. We're on this video, so I'm going to take you through some exercise where you can do it on by yourself right there. And then participants will gain experience building the 6 principles of active learning in their program. There's only 6 of them. So welcome. I welcomed you. Experience active learning, strategies for active learning, creating active learning in your program, and then we're going to close. That's our agenda today. Housekeeping is pretty simple. Materials. If you are listening to this, you should be looking at a digital workbook, a PDF workbook on active learning that you can refer to throughout this time that I have with you. And then most importantly, take care of yourself. If you need to stop the video, stop the video. That is why we put it on video, because we know that in this time we can't get together. So trying to make resources available to you where you can look at them at your own time, in your own atmosphere, and really learn and relook at it over and over again, so that it's not a one and done training that's going to take 3 hours and then you're stuck. All right. Our pyramid is pretty simple. If you've been to our trainings before, you know that we use this pyramid of program quality a lot. And if you haven't heard me talk, you know about Maslow, Abraham Maslow, his hierarchy of needs: safe environment, supportive environment, peer interaction, and youth engagement. Now, throughout this series, throughout this 10 10 workshop series, we try to cover all aspects of this pyramid one by one. All right, so today we're looking at supportive environment. Active learning, what does it do? We're going to look at encouragement, skill building, and active engagement. Kids know firsthand, I'm going to say this twice, kids know firsthand if they walk into the room, it's going to be a boring program. But really, we're going to show you how to get past that right now. All right. The strategies for active learning are great content and adult support. Great content and adult support. Let me break that down for you. Great content provides stimulating activities and provide appropriate challenge. That's great content. Stimulating activities, provide appropriate challenge. Stimulating activities, appropriate challenge. The second one is adult support. Engineer success by allowing for mistakes. It is okay when working with young people to let them fail or not complete the experiment correctly so that they can learn from that. Participate alongside youth. If you are doing it with them, then you are engaged, they're engaged. Ask a lot of questions, from direct questions of, is this right or wrong? Or what do you think about that? Or how did you get to this process? Those are going to keep the kids engaged, but it's going to keep them thinking. And then promote learning connections. What does that mean? Promote learning connections. Making sure that you can take what you're doing, the curriculum that you're providing, and connecting it to something that is real to them. When I was a social studies teacher, I could talk about anything in history, but I had to relate it back to the community or the family or the area that the young people were in, so it could connect. I couldn't talk about Russia, or I couldn't talk about Hitler, or I couldn't talk about civil rights if I wasn't pointing to something where they could connect to it right there. It could come alive to them. So great content and adult support. Now, in your workbook, you'll have some information about great content and adult support in there. So don't want to talk about that too long. So teaching styles. Now, this is the greatest thing here when it comes to active learning. When it comes to active learning, there's the spectrum. There's more adult control, there's direct instruction, and then there's pure discovery. Now, direct instruction is adults do most of the talking, youth listen and take notes. Maybe that's how you learned. Maybe that's how you were brought up. Maybe you're a little bit older, but a lot of lecture. This is what you do. You're going to take notes, and then maybe or maybe not, you're going to do something with it, but probably not. And then you go all the way over to pure discovery. Youth have to do the task. Adults watch. Adult watch them fail or succeed. So you have direct instruction, pure discovery, more adult control, more youth control. Now, you can probably imagine some of the things that happen in both of these. If it's adult instruction only, direct instruction, the kids may get bored, they may get disinterested, they may say, this is great, but I don't really like this. And I've been listening to people talk all day, especially an after-school program. If a kid or a young person has been listening to teachers talk all day and all they're taking notes, it's not going to work. For most adults, it doesn't work. But on the flip side of it, if it's just pure discovery and the kids are doing all the work and the kids are coming up with everything and there's no encouragement from the adults, now you have chaos, because now they can do whatever they want to do. Ideally, you want to have that guided discovery. You want to meet in the middle. Adults want to give a little bit, but you want to get both parties involved. That's called guided discovery. Now, think about it for a minute. What are the pros and cons? What are the pros and cons to direct instruction? What are the pros and cons to just pure discovery? Think about that for a minute. You may be sitting with somebody. You may be sitting with somebody right now. Just talk to them. Or you may have a little piece of paper in front of you, a notebook or something. What are the pros and cons? Think about it for a minute. I'm going to give you just 30 seconds to think about it. If you want to stop the video and just think about the pros and cons. All right. Think about that. I was getting ready to say put it in the chat, but you can't put it in the chat. Send me an email. Let me keep moving. Now, we looked at direct instruction, pure discovery. What are the pros and cons of guided discovery? Think about that. When looking at, I said with direct instruction, adults do most of the talking, youth listen, take notes. Pure discovery, youth do the task, adults watch them fail or succeed. But when it comes down to guided discovery, adults provide structure and support as youth engage in a learning task. Okay. Adults provide structure and support as youth engage in a learning task. So they're doing it together. There may be some instructions given, but there may be some instructions given, but now they're guided, so they're not just doing anything that they want to. Those are the teaching styles that we have to deal with. Right in the middle. Now, thinking about your program. If your program is not built on pure discovery or guided discovery, now there may be some problems. Okay, there may be some problems, but analyze your program. We'll keep moving. Scaffolding. One of the ways that we help young people learn is through scaffolding. So think about how do the active learning support scaffold youth as they learn? How do active learning supports scaffold? Now, it's just providing building blocks, providing structure. Scaffolding is just providing structure, meeting them at their level, getting them to a point where they can still grow, but you're supporting them. As for question to ask yourself, as facilitators, how can we know when the level of challenge is appropriate? So we have scaffolding. Now, how do we know when the level of challenge is appropriate? And then how could the activity in the case study, or how can an activity, now in your book, there's a couple of case studies, case studies that I want you to look at, but think about that. How could the activities in the case studies be altered to, one, make them simpler or make them more challenging? I think those are two good questions to ask when you're putting together curriculum, because you're going to know your students better than anybody. So if there's some confusion, how do you make it more simple? And how do you make it more challenging? How do you make them simpler, more challenging? Pretty simple, huh? Scaffolding. Think about the building blocks, or think about the early learning that takes place with young people. You may be trying to teach them a concept, but they have no idea what you're talking about. So you have to go back to something that they've learned before, or back to something that you've taught them before, so that they can get it. Make it simpler or more challenging, because in a classroom, you're going to have kids that get it and kids that don't get it. The kids that get it, if you don't give them something else to get, they're going to get bored. But if they don't get it and you continue to talk and they don't have the simple complex or the understanding of what's going on, now they get discouraged and they stop. That's where we meet them right in the middle. Okay. So I've said a little bit today, but really want you to take some of this and apply some active learning strategies. Now, a couple of things you can do. Identify an activity that you'll be doing in the near future with some young people, or choose an activity of from lots of examples on page 24 and 25 in your book. Then refer to pages 16 to 17 for information about different age groups. Some of you watching this video may be working with elementary school students. Some of you may be working with middle school students. Others may be working with high school students, but those are it. And then complete the activity lesson plan on page 26. And then check off the strategies as you incorporate them in the lesson. Now, I will say this. Do not try to bite off more than you can chew as it pertains to active learning. If you understand something, include it. If you don't understand something, call me, ask me some questions, or ask a colleague, how does this work? But the whole goal is, like I said, it's not direct instruction and it's not youth-led. It's right in the middle. How can we support young people? So, reflection. Think about the learning process. One, but let's go back and think about how you learned to ride a bike. Those of you who just got set on a bike and pushed down the hill, that experience may not have been very good for you. Those of you who were put on the grass, the fall was a lot safer, but you didn't just start riding. And then those of you who had somebody guiding you, it was you and them together. You're moving, you're shaking. Those two experiences. So just as a review, a successful program, research is going to tell you, is built on two things: great content and adult support. Great content is stimulating activities and appropriate challenge. And adult support is engineer success by allowing to make mistakes. Losing is winning, or losing is a part of winning. Participate alongside, ask a lot of questions, and promote learning connections. Such a big deal. This is a picture of me. This is a picture of me in my grandparents' yard when I was a young boy. I know you guys like that little part in my hair, nice and pretty. But you must be the change you want to see in the world. Gandhi said that. You must be the change. What you see can happen. What you see can happen. If you have additional questions, you can contact me right there, LaRon Henderson, lhenderson@collectiveforyouth.org, or that is my cell phone, 402-253-6961. I hope that this was worth your time. I hope that you take some time to get some things out of it. We will see you next time at the next workshop online. Thank you so much.